Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're bringing a brand new stock to the channel. This is a company that's involved in the MJ space here in Canada. They're a small cap operator in the retail section of that industry. The company name is Cannabis Inc. And I put this video together actually a couple of days ago. It's been in queue. And since then, the share price has gone on an absolute run, you guys. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to get this out a couple of days sooner. That being said, I still think there's a ton of upside in Nova, and we're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to do a deep dive analysis on their business model, talk about some recent earnings, and my bullish thesis on this company moving forward. Now, before we get into it, you guys, please take a second to smash the like button. It really does help out both the channel and myself in a big way. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you're holding shares of Nova, if you've ever been into any of their retail outlets, and what you think about how their business model stacks up to some of the competitors in this space. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so for today's video, we're going back to our roots. We're going to be talking about a small cap player in the Canadian MJ space. The company name is Nova Cannabis Inc., ticker symbol NOVC on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Now they do trade in the US as well under the ticker NVACF. Now this is a company that was actually brought to my attention from one of my subscribers. They reached out in a video comment and said, hey, you should get this one on your radar. I think it was in regards to one of my high tide videos. And to be honest, I kind of put this one on the back burner. You can see here it is in my watch list, so I was keeping an eye on Nova Cannabis. However, I've really been making an attempt on the channel to expand outside of the MJ sector, and as a result, this one kind of fell to the back of the line in terms of priority. Now that being said, they have been on a really good run over the last couple of trading sessions. They've had a big breakout. So you can see they were kind of stuck in the mid $2 range. So back in April of this year, they were trading about $2.42. All the way up to August, they were still trading in that mid $2 range, so $2.65. And in the month of September here, you guys, they've been on a major run, and they're now sitting just north of $3.40 as of close on Friday, September 10th. Now, based on this recent run in share price we've seen, this is really what caught my attention and wanted me to get this video out, you guys. The market cap on Nova Cannabis is now sitting just under $200 million Canadian, so still relatively small compared to some of the other retail operators in this space here in Canada. However, Nova really has a unique or innovative way that they've rebranded their stores to try and capture a lot of consumer attention, and it really does seem to be working. So in this video, we're going to talk about their recent earnings, which came out last month. We're going to start to see the impact of some of this rebranding activity that they've done. Then we're going to jump into their investor presentation, do a deep dive on this company, and compare and contrast to some of the other retail operators in this space and see how Nova is really starting to excel in the budget or cost-conscious sector of this industry. So first up here, guys, we're going to take a quick look at earnings. This is from Q2 of 2021. You can see the US ticker listed on the right here, so NVACF, like we just mentioned. Q2 earnings came out on August 12th, so this information is about a month old. However, as mentioned, it really wasn't until the start of September that the share price really started to move. Now, first and foremost, one of the big things they call out, and this is going to be a theme throughout this presentation, is the annualized store run rate or store sales for locations that have been converted to the Value Buds banner. And you can see here, this is going to come up in the presentation again. Prior to converting these locations, they were doing annualized sales or revenue of about $1.4 million versus the new average or post-conversion average of $3.5 million. So a $2.1 million increase, same location, same square footage, but just really going after a different segment of the market that really seems to be working for Nova and effectively differentiating them from their competition. So we'll go through some of the operational highlights first, and then we're going to see how that really translates into top line revenue overall for the quarter. So first and foremost, they upgraded from the TSX Venture to the TSX exchange on July 15th. So obviously that's a great move for the company to get an uplist like that and move on to one of the more senior exchanges here in Canada. Now the big one for me here, you guys, they actually converted 36 of their legacy Nova stores to the new Value Buds banner. We're going to look at some examples of those stores in a couple of slides here. So they're really making a big push to rebrand the majority of their portfolio of locations. In addition to the rebrand, they opened 9 new Value Bud stores, so 6 of them in Ontario. We're going to talk about their Ontario expansion plans again in a couple slides here, and 3 additional stores in Alberta. Now Nova is based in Edmonton, Alberta, so this is their home turf here, you guys. And based on this new activity in the quarter, they now have 60 stores operating with an additional 25 new stores under development or construction and 30 more stores in the province of Ontario. Again, this is where their big push is here in the back half of this year that are under active negotiation. So well over 100 locations once all of these are up and running, which really starts to put them on par with competitors like High Tide and Fire and Flower. Now based on that operational activity, here are the second quarter financial highlights. So you can see sales increased just about 107% compared to Q2 of 2020 to $29 million compared to $14.4 million in the prior year. And they really attribute that to the new stores, so 7 new retail stores that have opened since March of last year, and the rebrand of a lot of those legacy Nova Cannabis stores to the new Value Bud brand. And as mentioned, as those stores are transitioned or rebranded, they're starting to see tremendously more revenue coming out of each and every location. So considering their market cap here, you guys, this is a relatively micro cap company, and they're really putting up revenue numbers that are in line with a lot of the mid-cap type of companies in the MJ space here in Canada. So definitely attractive as a potential investor. Now I don't currently hold any shares in Nova. However, this is definitely one, as I mentioned, that's on my watch list and I'm starting to take note of as the share price is starting to creep up and the company's beginning to get retail investor attention. Now before we get any further into the presentation here on Nova, I did want to quickly call out that this company is actually a subsidiary of Alcana. So Alcana is one of the leading retailers here in Canada of booze, so wine, spirits, beer, and they operate in the province of Alberta and BC. So Alcana actually has a number of different brands, so Wine and Beyond, Liquor Depot, and Ace Liquor, and they're a major strategic investor in Nova. So we're going to talk about that at the end of the presentation, but I did want to bring that up here, you guys, because they do really have that notable backing from one of these major companies here in Canada and that underlying partnership that we're starting to see develop with some of the other retail players in the MJ space. So now we're going to shift gears and jump over to the Nova Cannabis Investor Relations page. You can see here, this is a look at their Value Buds banner. Now, if you scroll down in terms of a corporate overview, for those of you who aren't super familiar with what it is Nova does, they're a national MJ retailer. We operate primarily via our new Value Buds banner, which has a very simple mission: deliver compelling value to MJ consumers. Our goal is to attract, grow, and retain a loyal customer base by offering high-quality MJ products in convenient locations at everyday low prices. So again, Nova really feels like they've identified a gap in the marketplace right now, and they're going after that lower value but higher volume type of segment or customer base that seems to be working out extremely well for them based on this store conversion data that we saw in Q2. And that's exactly what they start to talk about in their investor presentation. So they've identified a problem within the industry, and this is their solution. So if we look at the Canadian MJ landscape holistically, you guys, the legal MJ market in 2020 represented $2.6 billion. There was 118% growth in 2020, and they're expecting additional growth of 60% in the current year of 2021. Now, the second bullet point here is something that I've mentioned in a number of my videos. This is actually why I've gotten out of my position in WeedMD or Entourage Health, but there's currently an oversupply of the actual flower itself, and high levels of unsold MJ inventory is actually putting pressure on the producers or the LPs. So this is an area within the MJ industry that I'm not looking to be involved with, and I do not want any exposure because I feel like margins and revenue are really going to be challenged over the coming years, especially as US growers start to enter the picture. Now looking forward, by 2026, they expect this market to be $8.6 billion. Ontario, which is obviously the big portion of the population here in Canada, about 40% of our people live there, rollout has been really delayed and fragmented, and it's really just now starting to hit the pavement, hence why Nova is really focusing on this province moving forward. So now that we've talked about the market holistically, now we want to narrow in on where Nova sees the opportunity. So they currently feel like Canadian retailers have really missed the mark. So they see the current group of retailers really falling into one of two buckets. Either high-end, which they feel is really focused on the wrong demographic of consumers, or mom and pop type of shops, which really don't have the scale, the distribution, the reach, and the economics that consumers desire. So as a result, Nova feels approximately 70% of the MJ market or consumers are not being properly served, which right now represents a $6+ billion opportunity here in Canada. So enter the Nova solution here, you guys, and this is exactly what we talked about. They're going after high volume, value focused sales and locations. So a couple numbers on here that definitely are worth your attention. So 21% of consumers in this space, so about a fifth of all people that consume MJ, actually represent about 70% of the total consumption volume. So that's big to understand here, you guys. It's not a one-to-one representation. There's a core group of people that are very into this product and consume an exponentially greater volume than the recreational weekend consumers. Now within that group, price has been consistently cited as the #1 factor driving their purchasing decisions. So there's a couple of different sources here. Deloitte is the first one. For new users, it's the #1 reason they make their purchasing decision. For current users, #1 reason. And for people that are looking to transition from the black market to retail or legal channels, this is cited as reason #2. Now from the Government of Canada survey, #1 reason for MJ purchasing factors, and from the OCS or Ontario MJ stores in Q4 of 2020, 68% of new customers cited price, while 74% of returning customers also indicated that price was the #1 decision maker or most important thing when making those buying decisions. So obviously price, regardless of which survey you're looking at, is a major factor in this industry. And that's exactly why Nova feels like they've got such a great advantage. So here's an example of what the Value Buds banner looks like on the right here. Again, they call out they're the only Canadian MJ retailer focused on the value conscious consumer base, which again represents, in their opinion, about 70% of the overall volume. They then talk about this major strategic investment from Alcana. So this is currently Canada's largest private liquor retailer with over 25 years experience retailing regulated products. So if you think about industries that are very similar to MJ, it's really pharmaceuticals and alcohol. So it's great to see that they've got a partner that's got so much track record and experience here. And if you're familiar with those Alcanna liquor brands, they're really value focused and target cost conscious consumers in the alcohol space. So very similar, very well related to what Nova's trying to do in the MJ sector. And the third point here, you guys, which is crucially important for any of these smaller cap companies, very strong balance sheet and the capital required to build out on this aggressive growth plan because of this major underlying strategic investment from Alcanna. And that's a perfect transition to this slide here, which really talks about their progress in the first half of 2021 and their ongoing growth strategy moving forward. So you can see in the top left, they talk about the conversion of those 35+ locations to the Value Buds banner. They made a number of strategic acquisitions in the province of Ontario, which again, they feel like is a huge market opportunity. And they're on track to have 85+ stores built and up and operational in 2021 with at least 20 Value Bud locations in Ontario. So that's this number here, you guys, is the 85+. And you can see by 2023, they're targeting over 200 locations here in Canada. So exponential growth here, you guys, over the last couple of years. You can see their revenue came in at just shy of $30 million for Q2, and they've got just under $25 million of cash on their balance sheet. So about an eighth of their market cap is actually sitting in cash, which again is super impressive for a company of this size. Now this slide here is super interesting as well. We quickly touched on this in the initial earnings report, but this talks about the conversion of their legacy stores or the Nova banners to the new Value Buds banner, which they're coining superstores. So this graph actually shows the annual run rate or annual revenue per store. You can see prior to conversion, these 17 locations were averaging $1.4 million each. And 4 months after conversion, if you were to take the annualized revenue run rate, you're looking at an average of $3.5 million per location. Now obviously time will tell, we're only 4 months into the conversion process. However, the results look extremely promising. The numbers are definitely moving in the right direction, and it does seem that Nova has really identified a gap in the current consumer landscape or market. So next up here, as we start to close out the presentation, I did want to talk about this focused growth strategy within Ontario, because this is really one of the major goals for Nova over the next couple of quarters. So a couple major things that they've identified: over 88% of MJ sold in this province is actually sold in brick and mortar locations versus online. So that's huge for a retail focused company. They're Canada's largest province, and they're significantly underserved in the MJ retail space due to some of those rollout challenges we just mentioned and we've covered in other videos. And there's still a huge black market or percentage of MJ that's sold in Ontario illegally. So because of those three main reasons, Nova really feels like this is a great opportunity in the making. They've got dozens of locations that are leased, under development, under construction, and they're really going to push this Value Buds banner along with kiosk-style stores in this province to disrupt the market and attract those value-conscious consumers. So I think this is a great plan for them and a big opportunity. If the numbers continue to come in like we've seen in other parts of Canada, I think this could be a major catalyst for Nova and their share price moving forward. Now, before we wrap things up here, you guys, I did want to circle back on the strategic investment from Alcana. Now, they currently own approximately 63% of Nova, and they actually entered a 2-year lockup, which means they can't dump these shares for the next couple of years. Now, in addition to that, they offered them a $10 million line of credit, which again gives Nova some more financial security as they continue to build out locations. And equally important, you guys, is the track record that Alcanna has. So they've successfully built out a value-focused liquor retail model with over 196 stores here in Canada. They know how to manage a business through rapid growth and a low-cost operating model. So in my opinion, this is the perfect partnership for Nova. Now, in addition to this, they've already got a number of AAA real estate locations. They're well established in major urban centers here in Canada, and they've got that pre-existing relationship with landlords and property managers that can provide lease guarantees where Nova is looking to push into the market. So for these reasons, you guys, I'm definitely excited to see what comes in the next couple of quarters for Nova. I think they've made a really smart shift in their business model by identifying a segment of the market that's being underserved. They've rebranded a number of their stores to really focus on this segment. In addition to that, they've identified opportunity in Ontario, and they're aggressively building out the number of locations they have from 85 to 200 plus over the next couple of years. On top of that, they've got a major strategic investor with Alcana that knows the ins and outs of this type of industry. And as a result, we're starting to see the share price move quite aggressively over the last couple of weeks here. So that's it for today's video, you guys. As mentioned, I currently do not hold shares in Nova. I will keep you posted if and when I do decide to pull the trigger. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. If you're still watching at this point in the video, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you smash that like button, you guys. It really does help get this content to other people who may find value, especially for these smaller cap type of companies. And on a final note, thanks so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.